resuming our council meeting on the 1st of October, which is our final meeting of this term. We've done our public excluded this morning, so we're over halfway through our agenda today. I'd just like to welcome Methven Community Board members, guests and members of the public who have joined us today, and we also have family members here as well. So as I said, we've done the public excluded business this morning, so we're just into the open part of the meeting, and I'll move on to the first item. We did have some declarations of interest which were noted this morning, and Councillor Todd and Councillor Cameron will have declared an interest in item number 13, and we'll leave the room for that discussion. So we do have the minutes, confirmation of the council minutes on page 3, item number 4, and we're looking for accuracy on page 4 and 5, page 6, page 7. Someone like to move that, confirm those minutes, hang on the wrong page. Someone like to move that those council minutes are a true and accurate record of that meeting.
I will move that.
Councillor McMillan, Councillor Todd, all in favour please say aye. Carried. And then the Methven Community Board minutes we have there as well. I'll do the Three Waters Committee first. Three Waters Committee, that we take these minutes as read and confirmed. A move and a seconder for that. Councillor Lovett, Councillor Ellis. All those in favour please say aye. Carried. Then we have item number 6, which is the Audit and Risk Committee minutes. Looking for accuracy there first. And if they are accurate, these are recommendation. We'll move the recommendation that we risk pool update. We'll take that recommendation first. The council receives a report and notes the call of $20,399.24 due for payment 20th September 25. Someone like to move and second that. Councillor Cameron, Councillor Ellis, all in favour please say aye.
Aye.
And now the minutes of the Audit and Risk Committee held on the 10th September be taken as read and confirmed. Mover, Councillor Cameron. Councillor Hooper seconded. All in favour please say aye. Thank you. Item number 7, the Road Safety Coordinating Committee minutes held on the 9th of September. Looking for accuracy on page 13. Any queries out of those? If not, the minutes of the Ashburton District Road Safety Coordinating Committee meeting held on 9 September 25 be taken as read and confirmed. Councillor McMillan, Councillor Hooper, all in favour please say aye. Carried. Item number 8, Stock Water Transition Working Group. Those minutes are on page 15 and 16. Looking for accuracy there. That the minutes of the Stock Water Transition Working Group held on 18th September 2025 be taken as read and confirmed. Mover, Councillor Wilson, Councillor Cameron, all in favour please say aye. It's carried. Item number 9, at the accuracy, that the minutes of the Methven Community Board meeting held on the 22nd of September 25 be taken as read and confirmed. Mover, Councillor Lovett, Councillor McMillan, all in favour please say aye.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
I was just looking at the proposal for the bike Methven to build the track, and then it will be gifted to the council for maintenance, I guess. Will that be the maintenance of that in the future after it's gifted to council? Would that fall on the Methven ratepayers or the whole district ratepayers? Or does council have a say in that?
Okay, Hamish.
Council certainly has a say, but that matter hasn't been resolved until we get to the point of receiving the gift. But the maintenance will be at a cost to ratepayers. Just which group of ratepayers is unresolved, as far as I'm aware.
We're great at receiving all these gifts, and they all cost money.
They do. Item number 10 on page 20, Creative Communities Assessment Committee meet on the 23rd of September. We just need a recommendation there to receive those minutes. Councillor Todd. Councillor, someone else going to second? Councillor Ellis? Oh, you don't have to be there. We're receiving them. It's not, yeah. We're just receiving those minutes. All those in favour, please say aye. Carried. Now, there's a recommendation there at council. The council was, we've just done that. Received the minutes. Yep. All good. Next up, we're on to number 11, into reports. Rakaia Salmon sculpture refurbishment. Neil, Bert, anything to add?
No, nothing further to add.
Questions, councillors? Councillor Mackle.
Before we go ahead with the refurbishment of this salmon, has it been looked at to replace it as new? With the price being up 300 odd grand, it was initially built for about 45,000. If we go to all the hassle of getting it transported through to Christchurch, and further assessment shows that it's done its circle of life as such, yeah, are we going to, yeah, has that been looked at?
Yeah, through the chair. I did discuss that with the tenderer, Phil Price. He advised that it's quite a complicated construction, and to replicate that would be quite expensive. He didn't give me a price, but that's the information that I can provide.
He did give you a price.
No, through the chair, he didn't give me a price indication.
Right. He also states that once he has a further closer look at it, it could incur higher costs than the tender, and we could be up for substantially more, and it could be cheaper to replace it with new. So I think and do you think we should look at it getting priced new before we go ahead with this?
Yeah, I think we could certainly do that, yes. Just referring to what was said, we spoke to the person who originally built it and said, indicated that it would probably cost more than refurbishment, but perhaps we could consider other companies or other businesses that could construct a new sculpture. We could do that.
Yeah, even getting one from the original tender or the current tenderer who built it initially for the 45,000 35 years ago roughly. Yeah, and now potentially 300 odd grand plus just for refurbishment.
I think the tenderer here is the person who built it initially. Yeah. Yeah. Councillor Ellis.
Thank you. I'm just wondering the need for urgency around this, why it's falling outside our normal annual plan process where these things normally come to us and then we make a decision in conjunction with everything else that we need to spend money on. So, yeah, just can you explain the need for the urgency around this, that it has to be, the decision has to be made now?
Yes, through the chair. It's become apparent through drone footage and a structural condition assessment by Calvin Lysart that there is patches of fiberglass that are lifting and have, over the sculpture. So what that is doing is exposing the inner core to moisture potentially, and if we don't do some remedial work now, we could be in for greater costs down the track, or ultimately removal of the sculpture and it being unable to be repaired.
Councillor McMillan?
Thank you. A couple of questions, if I can, through the chair. And when was this handed over to council, and what was the arrangement with it then?
Through the chair, it was built in 1991 and handed over to the council about 12 years later. I don't have a lot of detail around that transaction, but it was handed over to the council for future maintenance in around 2002.
Okay, thank you. And just my other question, so the pricing we've got there is 297,000, 215 of that is for the sculpture and 82 is for sort of extra cartage, etc. And I see Tower Bottoms have kindly said that they will do the transportation, which means that's 20k less. So it could end up as 277 roundabouts.
Yes, through the chair, it could end up being 277 or even less. We've had Ashburton Crane confirm that they'll do the craneage at a reduced rate as well, just to cover their fuel and ruck charges. So there could be a further downward pressure on that cost.
Just correction, the last time it was refurbished was just about a year after it was handed over, so about 2005. I was here at the time when we received the gift. Councillor Lovett.
Just a question I have, like going forward, instead of taking this money now out of reserve funds and that going forward at LTP time, should we be creating a reserve that these statues could be funded for replenishment, whatever? Because we've got a few things around, iconic things around town now, the deer down there at Hinds Reserve, and we've got statues. Should we be creating a fund that money could be coming out of in the future? Just a thought going forward, instead of coming to us like this all the time, trying to find money to do this work.
In an ideal world, the work would be programmed in our work program, and the funding would be established at the time of establishing the work program through the annual plan or the long-term plan. I think what you're hearing from Bert, though, is that it's become apparent there is an urgent need, and we believe that we need enough sort of process flexibility to ask you to consider these matters in between the more formal planning processes. Otherwise, we run the risk of further deterioration of this particular. But there's no magic fund. We've made a recommendation where we can suggest how we might fund it, and we think the work is worthy of consideration between planning cycles.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like the Greg statue, there is a fund there, and I'm thinking, should we be putting money aside, for refurnishment of all these things that keep popping up?
Yes, you'd have to plan to set that money aside at budget time.
Councillor Hooper.
Thank you. I've had a lot of feedback regarding the price in the last day or so, including a member of the Fire Museum in Timwood who said their 2 bespoke Clydesdale horses were made in London, freighted to New Zealand for a cost of $20,000 total. He couldn't believe the sum that was being bandied around. I would be very much in favour of a new structure investigated. Is there any new product that is going to last to 20 years or longer than 20 years that you're aware of, Bert, for a structure similar to this?
Through the chair, no. This is what's been proposed by Phil Price as the methodology. So it would be fiberglass repaired and painted and then polyurethaned over the top to give it some UV protection. Phil Price has been making sculptures for 30 plus years in the outdoors. So I guess I have to really rely on his methodology as being the best option. I'm not an expert myself.
Thank you.
Councillor Miller?
Thank you. Just another question through the chair. So when it was refurbished 21 or so years ago, was that done by Phil Price as well?
Through the chair, I believe it was. I don't have a lot of detail about what happened at that time, but I believe Phil Price was involved, yes.
And then in this report it says that if we refurbished again now, it would last another 20 years. So I'm guessing there's a 20-year cycle on the Salmon. Would I be correct?
Yes, I asked Phil when the next refurbishment would need to be done, and he said in about 20 years' time. So it seems to be a 20-year cycle.
Yeah. Councillor Mackle?
Yeah, my understanding with the last refurbishment was it was taken down and done in Rakaia by locals. He may have been involved, and it was done basically with the damage that's there at the moment. If it was taken away and refurbished, we're looking at least a 12-week time that it's away. Could it be dealt with a cherry picker at the moment, with the odd patch that needs to be dealt with? Investigate building new, get other tenderers, give other tenderers time to look at that. Is there time to? Is it urgent, basically?
Hamish?
We have tendered this work. So this price from this person is the only tender we received.
You had a tender for refurbishment, not new. It hasn't been investigated for new.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So if council doesn't wish to proceed with this project and wishes to instruct a different project, that's within your wheelhouse. But we don't see there's any other way to deal with the refurbishment of the Salmon other than the way in which the tendered market has proposed. If that's not acceptable and you wish us to do something else, then you're free to resolve that. And I think you have heard from the officer that we do regard the work as urgent.
So you only have suspected damage. It's not confirmed that it's interfering with the structure itself. It's still a solid structure. Rakaia is the gateway to mid-Canterbury, and personally I do believe there needs to be the form of the Salmon there in some shape or form. But yeah.
You can address that when we get the motion underway. Question time. Councillor Todd.
Thank you. So, would you consider the refurbishment or proposed refurbishment as good as new when it comes back?
Yes, in short. I understand that in the 2006 refurbishment, the paintwork wasn't as good as the original paintwork. And what Phil's indicating with this latest refurbishment is that it will be restored to its original glory, which the paintwork had a lot of pearls and metallics in it, which it doesn't have at the moment. So he's quite confident he can bring it back to how it was originally.
Councillor Wilson.
Yeah, I note in the photo there's the three water features sitting there that don't actually operate. Are they going to be left unoperational in the future? Because, we don't want to do this and then come back and have another big lump of money to redevelop the site.
They're not part of this project, through the chair. They're not working at the moment because we've had continuous problems with them over the years. They often end up flooding the reserve. People would jump on top of those concrete columns and affect the flow of the water, which would then end up going not down into the column but through the reserve. The pumps would continuously burn out from the leaves that fall into it. We've paid, I think, over a 3-year period, we spent about $11,000 on repairing those pumps and etc. So, yeah, there's some cost in getting those back up and running.
No more questions? Thank you. There's a recommendation there. Someone like to move or alternatively? Councillor.
I would like to move with an amendment saying that council approves the expenditure of up to 297,000 plus GST. So just adding the words up to.
Add the words up
because
to.
we have heard that we possibly could get some in-kind services.
Thank you. Seconder for that motion? Councillor Cameron? Councillor McMillan, do you speak to the motion? Nope. Speakers for or against the motion? Councillor Cameron?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I speak in favour of the motion, of course. I think it's not a structure, it's a sculpture, and to have the opportunity to have it refurbished by the artist himself is an amazing opportunity, and to forego this would be a mistake, and you cannot reproduce what is already there. It's an individual sculpture, a work of art created for that position, and I think this is a great opportunity to have it lasting, hopefully, for another 20 plus years.
Councillor Wilson?
I'm appalled at the cost of doing it, but as representative of Rakaia, and knowing the people of Rakaia, it's an iconic piece of their township, I'll be voting in favour of it.
Councillor Mackle?
I speak against the motion. It concerns me that we could end up making a silk purse out of a sow's ear with the refurbishment, and I think it needs to be further investigated to costing for new.
Councillor Hooper?
I agree with Rob. I speak against, and the cost from the feedback that I have is way over the top, and we should look at costing anew.
Councillor Lovett?
I was speaking for the motion. It's iconic, and I think it's an insult to the sculpture to reproduce another cheaper version of it. I think we should honour him and let him refurnish it to its proper glory and get another 20 odd years out of it. Do the job once and do it properly.
Councillor Todd?
Thank you. I speak in favour of the motion. The money is coming from the reserve contribution reserve, and I think we are between a rock and a hard place, to be fair. This was a well-intentioned service club project that has been gifted to the community and for the council to basically look after. It is an iconic sculpture. It's definitely put Rakaia on the map. Every time you go past the place, there's people taking photos of it and that sort of thing. So it's definitely worth investing further in. So I do support the motion.
Councillor Ellis?
Thank you. To be honest, Mr Mayor, I've flip-flopped a few times on this one. I'd love to see the salmon retained very soon, well within that 20 years. It'll probably be the only salmon left in our district. They've disappeared from our rivers, so it might be the only chance for people to actually see one. But the cost of $297,000 just seems astronomical. When we all campaigned on people's rates and keeping them in check, so for that reason, for the cost alone, I will be opposed to this.
Councillor Bryant?
Thank you. I'm in favour of the motion.
Councillor Cameron?
Can I just make one comment, please? I've already spoken. I'd just like to say, I understand it's coming out of reserves contribution, so it has no impact on the rates. It's already been contributed from the reserves contribution.
Councillor?
Right of reply?
Yeah, I'll just
Unless
make
you want.
Yeah. The Rakaia salmon is iconic salmon. It's been there for a long time now, 30 odd years, which is great, and it puts Rakaia on the map. It's been refurbished once, and there's a second time. It doesn't live in the most idyllic environment the sun, the wind, the hail, the snow, whatever, it gets it. And perhaps getting 20 years out of a paint on it is probably good value for money. For what it was cost last time, I think it was 100 and something thousand last time to refurbish it 20 years ago. So if you put inflation onto that, you're probably around about there. I haven't done that equation, but it's probably similar there. I think Rakaia would be disappointed if it disappeared. So yeah, let's look at refurbishing, and once it comes down, look at what it's like inside, and if there's deterioration beyond what we think, well, surely that would come back to council for another look at if it was deteriorating worse than what the superficial look has been. So Councillor Millen, right to reply.
Thank you. I think everyone's, you've just sort of said what I was going to say, but it is iconic for Rakaia, but also for the entire district. We have braided rivers running through the district. We have hopefully a couple more salmon coming through to the Rakaia river over the summer. But I think we need to think that this will be a good thing for the district. It's iconic. Everyone that goes through sees it, and I think because the funding is coming from reserves contribution, I'm happy with that.
I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, 4 against. 1, 2, 3. Carried. Next item, record against, Councillor Hooper. Thank you. And Councillor Meckle. Thank you. Item number 12, Community Infrastructure Grant Application, Hinds Domain. And Tony. Anything further to add?
Nothing further to add, but very happy to answer questions.
Okay. Questions, councillors? No questions. There's a recommendation there. Someone like to move? Councillor Brown? Councillor Cameron? Open for debate. Seems a straightforward health and safety item. Needs replacing, looking at it. Councillor Wilson?
Yeah, it's as a member of the reserve board is looking the reserve is looking spectacular. And there was a comment made before about the Hinds deer, but that's actually funded by the community, not by the council. And one thing that both of these reserves we've talked about this morning is that they've both got public toilets in them. And I see a mention in Rakaia of 700 people a day. And I think the numbers in Hinds are getting up there too. So there's something going forward. We have to think about these reserves. This light is part of the process. These reserves are actually being used by the tourists travelling through mid-Canterbury more than the locals. So we may have to look at funding, putting money aside for these reserves just to keep going, because they're getting used so much by outsiders, relying on just the local communities to look after them, and that may become too much. They may need extra resources.
Councillor Ellis?
Thank you. I speak in favour of this. Yes, there is a health and safety issue around the power pole that needs replacing, and obviously the Royal Memorial plaques need preserving, so I'm in favour.
No further speakers for or against. I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Next item, number 13. Rotary Club of Ashburton Discretionary Grant Request. Welcome, Tony. And Councillors Todd and Cameron are leaving the table in room. Anything further to discuss? Anything to add, Tony?
Nothing further to add, but very happy to answer questions.
Councillor Wilson.
Why is this not, like an overhead of doing the book thing? When you do a project, you have overheads associated with doing it, rather than, it's a cost of doing it. If you make a big fundraiser, you have some costs you have to pay on the way through. Why is it coming to us like that?
Through the chair, as I understand it, in the past, when their volumes were lower and when the price of the the paper material in terms of it was actually a sought after product. So the cost to actually dispose of the unwanted goods wasn't at the level that what we are now facing. Paper is just not being sought after like it was previously, and also the volume of material that the Rotary Club are now experiencing as a result of the success of the event is now causing this cost.
Just a question for myself. How many tonnes of books do you dispose of at the Resource Recovery Park for $7,000?
Neil, have you got that, or I can look
I'm
it
just
up?
trying to look. I'll get that figure for you.
Okay, we'll
Thank you.
hold that question, move on to the others. Councillor Lovett.
I'm just asking, are we setting a precedent here for other service clubs who are not doing their due diligence on their planning? Because I look at what they've made, and it's an averaged out over the 47 years, 21,000 a year, if you took the averages. So why haven't they budgeted for the disposal of their books within that? Because I know of clothing shops here that get people's rubbish dumped on their doorstep and they have to dispose of it, and these are all charities. Will it open up this fund for them to come and get money to dispose of their rubbish?
Hamish?
Through you, Mr Mayor, we're trying to reflect the change away from a historical arrangement. So the reality is that we have supported this event in this fashion over many, many years. We've signalled to the Rotary Club that we no longer believe it's possible for council to continue to do this. But in terms of making the transition from having that support to not having that support, then we're trying to propose a pathway to a different outcome. So we're just trying to reflect the change to what is happening and has happened currently. So we did signal this potential change at the end of the Bukarama in 2024, and as they have moved through to the fundraiser in 2025, they're now seeking a way through the suddenness of that change. So that's why this one is in front of you and not others.
Yeah, I just think it's an excessive amount.
Ian? Neil, how many?
Typically between 16 and 20 tonnes. That's the volume of books.
That's a lot of books. And that's every year we've been disposing.
That's correct. Last year was 20, this year is 16.
Yeah. Through Mr Mayor, having met with the representatives, they are faced with households having a damn good clean out, and the saleability and the fundraising potential of some of the material they receive is very limited. So they are acting in a sense as a quasi solid waste service for books, and that's one of the reasons why you'll see the recommendation to continue to assist to a degree, because if we don't, and they've got no way of not accepting all these books and continuing with their fundraiser.
So these books could have ended up in the red bin.
Yeah.
And it would have been covered in rates.
Well, that's right. It would simply have increased the cost of taking landfill through to Kate Valley, which the ratepayers would have been paying anyway. So we felt that there was rational sharing the change with the Rotary Club, given the historic arrangements.
Could these books have ended up in the yellow recycling bin?
Possibly, but they do tell us that those books that have plastic are not recyclable. So there's then the risk that if they come through the yellow bins, they contaminate the recycling, and we end up paying for that problem, as the ratepayer pays for that anyway via the contamination rates at Cape Valley.
Thank you. Councillor McMillan?
Thank you. Just through the chair, wondering how did you get to the $3,500? Is that just half of the $7,000 that it incurred last year?
So we're, I think at that stage we're try again. There we go. We're thinking about a $5,000 cost, hopefully, for this year. Everything's gone west. Okay. So the 3,500 was really to recognise that the Rotary Club are willing to enter into a partnership. They're willing to contribute towards this. It felt fair-ish to make a recommendation, but council could alter that if they wished.
Councillor Meckle?
These books, I would take it, Tony Neal would be going to Cape Valley, transported up there, dealt with.
No, they're going up to Christchurch and they're being diverted into a recycling company who can deal with them.
Right. I was just wondering whether it would be an option to use Greg Donaldson Contracting to, he has a furnace as such, a couple of K out of town.
That has been looked into.
Books.
Yeah, that has been looked into, but I don't think that was a likely option, having discussed it with GDC.
Thank you.
The plastic contamination might prevent that being burnt. Councillor Lovett?
Is this a one-off, or is it going to be year on, year on? You know, they're expecting us, ratepayers' money, to get rid of their rubbish year on year. Because I'm looking at the ferity to other clubs involved in this town doing fundraising events, and can they trot along to council when they've got leftovers and form a partnership?
Our advice is that it's a one-off application right now, and that they come and talk to council through the annual plan process about a longer-term solution.
Yes, noting that they do get this amount of wastage every year. So while the request is for a one-off, the issue doesn't go away just because we treat it as an annual application. And remembering that much of this material would end up needing dealing with through the solid waste activity if it wasn't going through the charity, through the service club.
Councillor?
Sorry. I was just going to say, much of it, as I understand it, is old magazines as much as it is books. It's just the stuff that they get for Bookarama that is simply unable to be sold. And they just get boxes and boxes of it as households take advantage of the opportunity to clean out old stuff.
Councillor Hooper?
Is there an opportunity at all, with bearing in mind with what you just said, Hamish, to fire some of these books in the recycle shop for 12 months, give away?
Yes, but I think the reality is the sheer volume.
Yeah.
The sheer volume of books, the Rotary Club's limited membership, those volunteers' ability to sift through, manage and otherwise sort out what might or might not have a value in some sort of different process. So there's some real practical issues that we are asking them to do with their own limited resources and capacity and the sheer volume of material they receive each year.
I'm happy to move if there's no further questions, Mr. Mayor.
Further questions, Councillor Ellis? We'll move in a second after Councillor Hooper. Councillor Ellis, open for debate. Thank you.
I speak in favour. Not only do we save some stuff out of the red bins, as mentioned earlier, these guys put a lot back into our community with the funds that they raise. They do a lot of hard work leading up to this event. It's a wonderful event on the calendar of many people in Canterbury every year. And if we can encourage them in a small way like this to keep up the good work, then I say let's rip into it.
Councillor Lovett?
I'm dead against it, because I think they need to look at the other aspect of this. Shut the doors and don't keep accepting books. And I've been working with the clothing shops. There's one in Methven, and they get whole estates dumped on their doorstep, chucked over their fence, and they have to deal with it themselves and pay for it themselves out of their charity money to dispose of it. And this is opening the floodgate for other organisations to come in when they've got issues, and that's for ratepayers' money.
Councillor Bryant?
I'm in favour of this recommendation.
Further speakers for or against? Well, Councillor Mackle.
Yeah, I'm in favour. Yeah, we have to respect what the Rotary is doing within the community, and yeah, they're quite happy to support this.
Councillor Wilson.
I'm in favour, but I think that this shouldn't be coming through like this. It should be, we have a grants time, we do grants, which we balance them all out, and this annoys me in a way that we're getting it now. It should be coming through the grants process, because then we look at all the different grants for our community and we balance them all out and we evenly and fairly distribute it, not a separate avenue.
No further speakers for or against? Councillor Ellis.
Sorry. Yeah, I speak in favour. I think you'll find this 3,500 is actually a saving to our community from what would have gone into a waste stream is now being recycled. And all the proceeds raised by this group come back to our community in some form or another. So, yeah, I'd like to thank them for all the work they do, and I think this is a small contribution from the ratepayers.
Councillor Hooper, you want to write a reply? Put the motion all in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Next item, number 14, page 47. Have you lost one?
Yeah. Oh, here she is. Come on.
Item number 14, page 47, the delegation of Chief Executive in the interim period. Interregnum, yeah, period. That's a new word. Tony, anything further to add?
Nothing further to add, thank you.
Councillors, questions? There's a recommendation there. Councillor Cameron.
I'd like to move the recommendation.
Councillor Ellis, move it, seconding. Open for debate. Standard for this time of year when council is dissolved on the election, the final count of the election coming in, until council is sworn in at the end of be this month now. The Chief Executive takes the reins. Standard process, so don't do anything you shouldn't. Motion there, move it, seconded. I'll put the motion all in favour, please say aye. Carried, thank you. That's a weight off my shoulders. Item number 15, financial report. Welcome, Gordon. And financial report starts on page 54. We'll go through page by page. 54, 55. Just stop me if you want to question. 56. 57. 58. 59, 60, 61. Gordon, just on refuse collection, could you just explain that? Is that favourable or unfavourable? Are we over budget there or are we under budget? It's a bit ambiguous to me.
So we're currently under budget due to the way that we do the phasing here, but for a 4-year projection, we're expecting to be over due to the cost fluctuations, wash-ups that come through quarterly.
So under at the moment, but year end you're thinking be over?
That's correct, yes.
Yep. So was it not budgeted through the budget process, cost escalations?
We do budget for cost escalations, but unfortunately due to the inflation parameters that we're currently working within, our assumptions are slightly understated.
I suppose you've still got 9 months to work on keeping it as close to budget as possible.
As much as possible, yes, correct.
Yeah. It's a focus, thank you. 62, 63, 64. Just questioning on loan repayments, elderly persons' housings. If you repaid a loan already, could they normally done year end, or is this year different?
This year was slightly different due to liquidity arrangements at year end, so to ensure we met our financial statement requirements, we increased our borrowings temporarily to meet that, and then we repaid those as soon as we could in July, August. So you can see that coming through on the report. We repaid an extra $1 million or so.
Thank you. 65.
I just have a question on the memorial halls. So the insurance premiums have come in lower. So are they done as a package for all the memorial halls, or are they done individually?
The insurance is done across the board, so we utilise a third party to manage it on our behalf and get us sort of quotes and premiums. Due to the differences in the market associated with the additional insurance on offer, we managed to negotiate lower premiums for the year across the board, and so you can see that specifically coming through in the memorial halls.
At the moment.
Yeah.
66. Oh, gotcha.
Could we flag that for the budgeting process that, because not all halls are memorial halls in Midkent and Ashburton District, some self-insure do themselves, but the cost is becoming prohibitive for them, and if we can offer them a better deal through council, that may be an option for us going forward.
We can note that.
68. 69. Richard.
Effectively on 68, without having sold some of the business estate, that effectively will mean our debt is actually higher for the year than what we'd budgeted. Is that correct?
Sorry, let me just find the relevant page.
The commercial property actual year-to-date full budget, and it's
Yeah, so the assumptions assume that we'd sell a certain level of those as we progress through the year. We haven't actually incurred the expense associated with it because we assume that we'd do some more development of the sites before we sold them. Because we haven't got them to a state yet, the debt hasn't increased in that space.
70. 71. 72. 72, the parking, 241,000 is favourable, not unfavourable?
No, it's unfavourable. So it's unfavourable because we're comparing the year-to-date income against the full year budget. And so that's essentially just sort of 2 months of the year versus the full 12 months of the year. But we are projecting that it will be favourable at the end of the year.
Mr. Mayor, through you, that's why we split the commentary into those two boxes. One, how it's tracking now, but one where we anticipate it will be by year end. So you can see in the parking case, it's favourable by year end.
Yep. 73. 74. 75, the net debt and borrowings being 112 million of debt. 76, Councillor Wilson.
do you feel our debt position, with a lot of floating, because obviously the interest rates potentially could be dropping tomorrow with the OCR change, do you think we're in a position to perhaps, make a benefit of that drop?
I would probably have to come back to you in regards to a response with that. It would depend upon our ultimate strategy associated with debt over the long term.
Yeah. I think just to add to Gordon's response, if you recall the briefing that we've had from our Treasury advisor, that they are continually taking into account the expectations around interest rate movements and via the hedging and the protection mechanisms that we have, we would expect to maximise our position regardless of the ups and downs of the OCR.
77. '78. '79.
Just a question on 79, Mr Mayor. Are there any red flags in amongst our outstanding debtors at all, or are they all sort of being managed and should be a suitable outcome for us?
We certainly, through you, Mr Mayor, actively manage those debtors, and there's always risk, but with close monitoring and active management, we improve our chances of full collection.
Those debtors there are not rates debtors, though, are they?
No, not those ones on page 79, Mr Mayor.
Any further questions? We have a recommendation there on page 51 that the Council receives the 31st August 2025 Financial Variance Report. Someone like to move? Councillor Lovett, Councillor Todd. Any further debate? Discussion? I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Thank you. Moving on to item number 16, and it's the Mayor's report. And 16.2, I'll just read my comments there, because people at home won't be able to read. The end of council term. As this triennium of council comes to an end, I'd like to extend my thanks and appreciation to fellow councillors for the dedication and sacrifices that you and your families have given to represent the people of the Ashburton district. Sometimes the work of council can feel overwhelming and incredibly slow, yet on reflection we've achieved a lot. And some of those projects are Te Whare Whakatiri and Te Kiti Tuhinga, the new elderly persons housing, progressing 3 water supply upgrades. We completed the upgrades of the Methven and Mount Summers water treatment plants, which will negate the need for boiled water notices in those communities. We undertook numerous upgrades, replacements to our water treatment plants throughout the district, including UV treatment. Ongoing replacement of underground pipes for wastewater and drinking water, covering many kilometres throughout the district. Ongoing maintenance of our many parks and reserves throughout the district, including the highly utilised Ashburton Domain, which also always receives positive feedback from locals and visitors to the district. Over the 3-year term, we've spent tens of $millions on our roading network, and at times it's hard to see where this money has had an effect, but it has. It is to be noted that the roading network will need considerably more attention and money spent on it in the future. On a positive note, the second Ashburton Bridge project has been approved by the government and physical works are to commence early next year. I'm personally pleased that this project has finally come to fruition after many years of lobbying the government. Also, we've carried on doing the business as usual work, like keeping the drinking and wastewater flowing in separate pipes, keeping the lawns mowed, the rubbish picked up, and the recycling separated from it, the footpaths, streetlights, cemeteries, our parks, and especially our beloved Ashburton Domain. It is an icon for us all to enjoy. The list goes on. We do it all. We will finish this triennium having undertaken numerous improvements for the betterment of our district. This work will always be ongoing. In addition to the above-mentioned specific projects, there's been a lot of other work completed, whether it was with Safer Mid-Canterbury or on a biodiversity committee, reserve board or hall committee. You've all attended many meetings over the term, both during working hours and outside of those working hours. For this, I thank you. I'd also like to extend appreciation to the Chief Executive, Hamish Riak, the executive staff and council staff for the guidance and support you have provided myself and the elected members over the past 3 years. It's been a journey that I've thoroughly enjoyed and we could not have done it without you all. To you all, I wish you the very best for whatever the future holds. It's just been a privilege and a pleasure to work with you all. I've got my meetings calendar there. If there's any questions on that. Councillor Wilson.
Regarding the 25th September, the Canterbury Water CWMS Local Leadership Group, we had a closed-door meeting with our partners at Arawhanua and ECAN to discuss, and some local community representatives. And there was a media release put out, and part of that media release was that we would be you would be engaging with our two neighbouring councils to ensure that at the moment the way it's set up is that there's a map drawn up that had Ashburton District Council's colours only on Huckattree area, and the other Salmon and Timaru controlling the other twos. And I was concerned by the last statement in the media release that said that the meeting of the Huckattree zonal committee would be commencing in November, when it was clearly set out that we were going to work with our partners next door to ensure that our interests were, taken into account, with the Rakaia being part of our zone when the meetings were held here, and Timaru being partnered with us, not it being outside of our zone, and potentially no community people being on that zonal meeting. I was wondering how that was progressing.
Yeah, it's been diaried in. I think the first meeting is tomorrow with Salmon, Mayor, and Chair of ECAN, and the following week is the meeting with Mayor Nigel from Timaru and the Chair of ECAN, and I can make notes and report back as to what the discussion was like, ready for your next meetings you'll have in November on progressing that local leadership group forward. We have a recommendation.
Mr Mayor, just a quick question, if I may. 30th of September, Tony Hill, the District Commander, Canterbury Police. Just wondered how that meeting went with the proposed police restructure, and a lot of interest around our region about it.
Yep, I have had a conversation with Tony from Christchurch, and he has informed me of what they are formulating. They're advising their staff first, and once that's done, and he was thinking within 2 to 3 weeks' time, the outcome of that review will be made public. Yep. There's a recommendation there on 16.1, RDR Management Limited for the AGM, and with there being no council, we need to appoint the Chief Executive Hamish Rack as proxy to vote on council's behalf at the RDML AGM on the 14th of October. Someone like to move?
I'll move that,
Cameron.
Mr Mayor.
Seconded, Councillor Wilson. Any debate? Put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. Next item of business is the naming of the Ashburton Art Gallery and Museum. And welcome Sharon and Tuera and Fiona, if you'd like to come up front, sit beside me, please. Welcome Fiona, being the chair of Arawhenua.
Thank you.
Right. Welcome Tuera, Upoko, and Sharon and Sarah. Anything further to add to your report?
Tēnā koutou katoa. We're very pleased to bring you the report, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Questions, councillors? Tuera, did you want to say anything, please, on the gifting of the name?
Hello.
You're on.
Kia ora. This was quite an interesting process from my own personal point of view, because there was already a name for both sides of it, and then approached by Sharon here with a name that encompassed it all. And just from what was written in here, we were talking about, Ashburton River, braided river. So we're looking at braids really, and the two braids here is an art gallery and a museum. So what's that linking thing in my culture's thing that would bridge it all together? And to be quite honest, had to come up with the name myself. So Roko or Rongo, he is the deity, for want of a better term, that is responsible for things that doesn't have anything to do with war, cultivations, anything artistic, anything that has of intrinsic value to the history of the people that live within that particular area that this deity kind of acknowledges being a part of. So, roko, whiria, put it together, roko whiria. In terms of pronunciation, I've got a feeling that it might be one of the easier Māori words that you can pronounce, because roko, whiria, roko, quite easy to say, but it kind of acknowledges that this place is, the river around here is very important to this whole area. It's what feeds the farms, it's what feeds the township and the people. Bringing a word that relates to the description of what type of a river is into the naming of this particular concept is kind of important, because you've got two separate braids, but they do the same thing. They feed the people that live within this area. And that's the concept I was looking at when it comes to the actual name itself was, well, art, museum, that helps feed the people that live within this area, because it gives them an avenue to place things that expresses how they feel about the area, whether it be through artistic avenues, and then you've got the historical significance that will be contained within the museum itself, which is more of the taonga, the treasures of this place here. And it encompasses the whole story, right from the very beginning right to the very end. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to say. Kia ora.
Thanks very much for that, Tuera. Further question? Any questions? Richard?
I understand there's with the new name, quite often you put the new name up a sign. I understand there's quite a process for, if you were to make a big sign and flashing lights and put it on the building. Can you elaborate to how that, what's involved in that happening?
Through Mr. Mayor, so the gift of the name is to consolidate the merger of the art gallery and museum, and to coincide with the final steps that we would like to take in regard to still running two websites, still having two marketing and promotional programs, and trying to consolidate it all, and needing a way of connecting and combining all that, and the gift is a part of that process, and a special part. In terms of signage, that's a completely different process, and that involves, in the case of the Art Gallery Museum or Roko Whiria, that involves a resource consent process. The current building has a sign on it. It was approved through the resource consent process. Any variation to the way the signage is on the outside of the building sort of operates in a parallel process to the gifting of the name. The gifting of the name will be the anchor for the final consolidation of the merger of the two facilities, which were for a long time run separately, and I think it was back in 2021 that the museum joined the art gallery within council's activities, although both were in that same building at that time. But we've been running two kind of subsystems without the anchor to make the consolidation work. So the gift is part of that consolidation. The signage is a separate piece of work that has not commenced.
Thank you. I just also make note, since I've been working up here, there's been people coming into the gallery, and I see there's quite a few unanga from Aotearoa have turned up, so I'd just like to welcome you as well, and welcome to the Hinipaka Chamber. So, welcome. Further questions? Councillor McMillan.
Thank you, through the chair. And we probably know the answer to this question, but may be beneficial to people at home. But under financial implications, there's no additional cost in accepting that name. Is that's correct?
Through the chair, yes, that's correct. The process of gifting the name has no additional budget impact on the community. Everything that we're doing with regards to future rebranding will be part of the operational budget of the Art Gallery and Museum.
Councillor Hooper?
Thank you. Yeah, I have some questions via social media and the like that I thought, we possibly know, but it'd be good to address them. When it comes time to look at some signage on the building, will the Te Reo name and English be included together?
Through the Mayor, that will depend on the branding and how we choose to finish that part of the project, and Council will be involved in that, so there'll be no decisions made about that until the branding is concluded.
Yes. And the other one is, I think you've already answered, do we pay Te Wera at all for the gift?
There is no personal payment to Te Wera.
You will get a cup of tea and sandwich. Your wish is my command. Further questions, councillors? If not, there's a recommendation there that council accepts the name Roko Whiraria, gifted by Te Runaka o Arawhenua for the Ashburton Art Gallery and Museum, and I'm happy to move. Councillor
I'm quite happy to do that. Thank you,
Councillor
Mr. Mayor.
Brown, seconded. Thank you. Open for discussion, debate. Speaking to the motion, I think we take this gift of naming for the Art Gallery and Museum with honour. It's a great gift. It's, as Te Wera says, it's a nice short word. We should be able to say it and embrace it. We should. So it's an honour to be receiving this name. Thank you. Speakers for or against?
I would just say, I just love the meaning of it, bringing the rivers and the braids together, and it mentions farming in there. I just think it's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Further speakers? If not, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. That has taken us to the end of our agenda. We're moving on to now valedictories, and we know there's two members of the Methven Community Board leaving us, and there's 3 members of council that will be leaving us today as well. So firstly up, I'd like to invite Kelvin Holmes to do a valedictory for Alan Locke. So Kelvin and Alan, if you'd like to come forward up to here, please. And Alan, there's a seat up here for you while Kelvin talks.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and councillors, for the invitation to do this on behalf of Alan Locke. Somebody's got to be first, I guess. Lockie, Alan Locke. Alan was a reluctant candidate 3 years ago and stood because he thought there wouldn't be enough candidates, and it almost turned out like that, except there was 6. Lockie stood, obviously, and he polled second, so he did quite well, which reflects the display, or displays the standing he has in the community of Methven. Lockie's family have been dairy farming for 3 generations, coming on to the 4th, being dairy farmers long before dairying was fashionable and long before nitrates were invented as a conversation piece. Lockie has been heavily involved in the Methven community all his life. I'm just going to run through a number of them. The Rugby Club, Methven United Chair, Golf Club Green Convener and Life Member, Methven Scouts, Queen Scout and now Patron, AMP Association involvement, Spaxton Water Scheme, which many of you council will be aware of, Methven Lions as President, Treasurer, Golf Match Convener, Organiser and Lockie was one of the few who have been awarded the Melvin Jones Fellowship for services to Lions in his community from the Mifflin Club. So Lockie will probably tell you that he didn't really contribute much in the MCB over the last 3 years. But with his involvement in the community, he knows exactly how it ticks, and his contribution reflected that exactly. Lockie, thank you for your contribution over the past 3 years. You helped to make a difference. Thank you.
Thanks, Kelvin, for those kind words. Mr Mayor, councillors and guests, it's been an honour to have served a term on the Mifflin Community Board. I think we've achieved a substantial amount that will assure the future development of our town. The main one being our 10-year plan that we did, and I think thanks to the council staff that made that happen. Thanks, Kelvin, and the rest of our board. I felt we worked well together, especially you, Kelvin. Having previous experience in the council made it really good. He knew how to run the meeting. He had all the homework done before we got there. It was really good. I'd like to thank the council staff for their support. I felt at times, probably because I hadn't been in the council before, I felt that there was sometimes they could think up reasons of why something shouldn't happen, instead of maybe cutting through the crap to make things happen. But there's still plenty of projects on the books up there. I'm sure the calibre of the incoming team will continue the process to achieve these. I probably left my run a bit late in life for this job, but it was a way to continue service to our great community. I think Kelvin and I will still we'll be running around in the background poking our bit in every now and again, make sure things can happen. But thanks everybody for the opportunity. Thank you. Oh, thanks. Oh, look, certificate. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So next on the list is the Mayor will speak to acknowledge Kelvin's time on the Mifflin Community Board. I first met Kelvin last century, probably in the late 90s, and so I've known him for quite a long time. Then he was my insurance broker and was until his retirement last year. So known Kelvin for certainly a long time. When I came into council in 2004, Kelvin had already served one term after being elected to the Ashburton ward in 2001. Kelvin brought strong business acumen, and in 2004 he was appointed as the chair of council's finance committee, a role he continued to hold until he retired from council in October 2010. I'd been Kelvin's deputy chair during this term and had the privilege of being handed the baton and becoming the chair of finance committee in the next term after his retirement. Kelvin served on council with two mayors, Mayor Murray Anderson and Mayor Beat O'Malley. There were some big projects under consideration back then, including the development of the new wastewater management system for Ashburton Township and a new stadium. Kelvin was appointed to subcommittees that were set up to kickstart these projects. Kelvin took a break from local government, but in 2019 he decided that it was time to come back, bringing his experience and knowledge to a community that he knew well. Elected to the Mifflin Community Board in October that year, Kelvin became the board deputy chair and progressed to chairman after retirement of the chair then, Dan McLaughlin. With an enthusiastic group of board members, he set out to help shape the town's continued progress. In the past couple of years, some long-term planning for Mifflin has come to fruition. Notably, the Methven water supply when this landmark project was completed in October 2023. The upgraded treatment plant would bring an end to the boil water notices that would inevitably happen in Methven after storm events. The $10 million plant was a big financial commitment for the Methven community and a challenging time for the Methven Community Board. And it's not just the large projects that need to be mentioned. Kelvin and the Community Board members have always focused on the importance of day-to-day maintenance of the town's infrastructure and enhancing the open spaces. There are many examples where the Community Board, helped by significant voluntary input from Methven people, have been able to greatly improve recreation and amenity areas in the town. Kelvin's community involvement extends beyond the Community Board. As a long-time member of the Methven Lions, he and his fellow club members have proactively collaborated with Council on a number of projects. When they noticed the poor state of repair of many of the earlier graves at the Methven Cemetery, they rolled up their sleeves and cleaned off years of lichen and moss. The Methven Walkway is another great example of where their foresight and hard work has created an interesting and well-used amenity. More recently, the Methven and Foothills Bird Song Initiative has come into Council's radar. Again, we have seen people in the Methven community step forward and, with the support of Kelvin and the Community Board, the first stage of the long-term plan to protect the natural habitat and increase the native bird song in Methven is underway. This is by no means a small project and has involved considerable input from Council to ensure lease and land use arrangements are carefully managed. But it's a great community initiative that will see Methven's Garden of Harmony become a bird-friendly native plant sanctuary for community to enjoyment and biodiversity education. I know that Kelvin and the team are fully committed, and it'll be great to see the concept plan come to life in the coming years. Kelvin, the Community Board's adoption of the new Methven Community Strategic Plan in June this year was a great outcome for you and your fellow members, and is probably the highlight of your final term. Much has happened in Methven since the earlier plans, 1997 and 2014 they were put in place. Under your leadership, the board did a wonderful job of including the Methven community and getting feedback from a wide group of people. They came forward to share their ideas, and this showed that Methven people are thinking of all their residents, young and the not so young. While tourism is key, equally important for them is having an attractive and safe community that offers opportunity for education, business and recreation. Their community vision statement says it all, and it is. Methven, a recreational hub where natural beauty and vibrant communities come together. Thrilling tourism to chilled out vibes are supported by thriving local businesses, a connected, safe and accessible community for all. As they move into the next term, the Methven Community Board will be guided by the 10-year plan's vision and objectives, and I'm certain that you will remain interested and involved in bringing the plan's goals to fruition. Thank you, Kelvin, for the time and energy you've given to your local government roles. You've always been a strong advocate for Methven, and I don't see that will ever change. It's very pleasing to see that the Methven Community Board will be going into the next term with some new faces and full membership. I'm reminded here of the board's clear direction to Council during the recent representation review, and we fully understood your desire not to reduce the number of board members. You will no doubt continue to keep a watchful eye on progress. On behalf of Council and our community, I thank you and wish you all the best for your future endeavours. Kelvin, you're right here.
Well, I've only got that much, hey? You can't say that much about one person without acknowledging a very, very good team. I'll just hark back a bit. I've done this in 2010 before when I decided not to stand for council, and my last comment, which was to the new council, was when all is said and done, more is said than done around here. And I still back that, which I've tried to always in my life be proactive and change and be bloody positive. You know, that's the best thing. But I think, as Neil's mentioned almost everything I could say, so I'm not going to repeat it, but this term, this 3 years of the community board, we've achieved a lot more than we've talked about, I think. We've done that with having a very good team and very good support of each other, which is really important. And we've also had a very good relationship, and I think building a better relationship with councillors and council staff especially, because you don't get anything done if you keep badgering people the wrong way. I learnt that long time ago. So I'd like to thank the institution, if you like, for the support. It's brilliant. As Neil mentioned, Methven Community Board is in pretty good state, I reckon. It'll have new members, but at least it's got a good framework to work by, and I'd like to take a bit of part in establishing that, because I think it needs structure, or better structure than it had. But Methven itself, as Viv Barrett used to say, is the centre of the universe, and that's a long time ago he said that. But I mean, right now we look good in our assets, which were mentioned by Mayor Brown, with the birdsong building to something, the walkway, the water treatment plant especially. So our assets are looking pretty good. Our recreational assets such as the walkway, and again mentioning birdsong to come into the future, we played a really big part in establishing that. Our strategic plan was instrumental in bringing the community together, and whilst you never get as much input as you'd like, we got more than we expected almost, and a lot of it was really positive, and that's reflected in our plan. So new community board have got plenty to follow, as you stated, Neil. The only other thing is we have a lighting plan which is half built into council's view and the community board's view, and that end view is 2029 when it's Methven 150 years. So we want to get to a point with lighting and making Methven a lot more visible, if you like, during the evenings, and more attractive with council support. And we've had that in the last year, and we've got it in the next year coming, the financial years I'm talking about. So we'd still like to think that the council itself was mindful of what Methven is trying to do through its lighting plan. It's been, the initial stage has been put in, which were underwhelming, to be fair. The Boy Scout torch would have done better on a clear day. But that will be repaired and fixed, so hopefully people will have something to look at and move forward from. So, yeah, that's all I've got to say, really. As I say, the town looks good, the cemetery looks good, everything looks pretty well clean and tidy, and thank you for all who've contributed to that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good work. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Thank you.
I'd like to now invite Tony Todd and Lane Bram to the front of the room, please. Or Lane, you can sit there if you like. Yep. Or unless you want to come up and sit up. Tony will speak to acknowledge Lane's time on council, and then Lane will be invited to respond.
Mr Mayor, councillors, family, visitors and those watching from home, it's indeed a pleasure to present these words on our fellow councillor, Lane Bram. But I want to start just with a bit of a preamble with Lane before he got involved with council. So Lane grew up in Amsterdam, son of a milkman. His mother was the oldest of 9 and Lane the oldest of 32 grandchildren. He had an auntie in New Zealand called Mary Secure. He thought, that sounds like a plan. Let's go and visit Aunt Mary. So Lane, with his wife Leanna, landscaping skills, long wheel-based Land Rover and signature moustache, moved to the promised land of Mid-Canterbury in the early 80s. He landed a job with the Millicham's Garden Centre. Soon after, Lane and Roger Martin joined forces and created Martin and Brum Garden Centre and landscaping on West Street. Children soon appeared: Michael, Tara, Ainsley and Vincent. They became true Timwaldites through and through. Loving the open spaces, tramping mountains with his newfound cousins, farm life in Mount Somers, especially tailing lambs. Playing wing for old boys rugby and softball. Yes, you heard that right. Lane traded in his clogs for rugby boots to play rugby. In my mind's eye, I envisage a 6-foot-plus gangly Dutchman with large bushy moustache charging towards the try line. Who was ever going to stop him? Lane and Leanna embraced the New Zealand life fully: school committees, working bees, choir and church life. The Kiwi language was developing nicely, with a few interesting twists, like the time that they picked up some hijackers, but everyone knew he meant hitchhikers. New Zealand life didn't come without its trials. Caught in the late 80s, downturn in the economy, Lane diversified to a demolition yard to keep the bread on the table. The loss of 2 children, Tara, a few months old, and Michael at 21. Life goes on, and Lane became interested in local politics, which is no surprise, as his opa was also a local council on the local council in Holland. So in 2016, Lane took up the plunge and put his name in the ring, so to speak. Unsurprisingly, Lane polled well and was duly elected along with Thelma Bell, Neil Brown, Russell Ellis, Salmon Price, Diane Rawlinson and Alistair Urquhart. And those were the ones in the urban ward or the town ward, so that's the ones that were mentioned. He was appointed to the Environmental Services Committee and the Service Delivery Committee, the Airport Authority Subcommittees, Audit and Risk Committee, the Bylaws and Policy Subcommittee and Town Centre Working Group. 2019 saw Lane re-elected for a second term. This term saw Lane appointed to Audit and Risk Finance Committee as Chair, and Chair also of the Airport Authority Subcommittee. He also served on the Community Services Committee, Infrastructure Services Committee, the Executive Committee, Library and Civic Centre PCG, Creative Communities Assessment Committee, Mount Somers Reserve Board, and Lagwell Westfield Hall Board, and Ashburton Town Stopbank River Rating, which is part of ECAN. A tiger for punishment, Lane was again elected to council in 2022, along with Carolyn Cameron, Phil Hooper, Russell Ellis, and myself. During this term, Lane served as Deputy Chair of Audit and Risk and Chair of Biodiversity Advisory Group. He was appointed to the Executive Committee, the Airport Authority Subcommittee, the Library and Civic Centre PCG, the Creative Communities Assessment Committee, Mount Somers Reserve Board, the Lagwell Westfield Hall Board, and the Ashburton Town Stopbanks River Rating Group again. So there you have it, a brief summary of Lane's commitment to the ADC. In my preamble at the start, I wanted to demonstrate Lane's commitment to his newfound home, settling in Ashburton, his commitment to the family, business, the community and to council. Lane and Leanna are tremendous examples of the benefits of inviting people from other parts of the world to come here, embrace our culture and make a positive difference. Finally, it would be remiss of me if I didn't say that Councillor Hooper and I will miss my fellow councillor who had a love of wearing more colourful shirts. I had to say this. Thank you for helping. Thank you for helping to brighten up this chamber. We had to counter those opposite wearing R.M. Williams gear. But I will also say that councillors love it
Cameron and Macmillan have impeccable fashion taste as well. I feel that I'm qualified to make that statement. So, Elaine, on behalf of Mayor Brown, your fellow councillors, C. Hamish, Riak, all council staff and the wider community, we thank you sincerely for your positive contribution to our district. Easy. Notes, please. Thank you. Tony, did you look on my notes or something? It's almost the same way, but I'm doing it slightly different. You know me by now. So I'm just going on my journey. So the journey was coming here, 1982. Correct. You've got it, with my darling wife. And we came here for a job. And why would you go from Amsterdam to Ashburton? I had to think twice, but it was basically a job for Middlecham's Garden Centre. They were looking for a landscape architect. So we arrived. We saw the boss, and he basically brought us to Harland Street, where there was a house. And here we were, 2 backpacks and an empty house. So here we were. Early that evening, there was a knock on the door, and there was a couple. They came up to us, and they introduced them. And it was our neighbors. And they realized pretty quick that we only had sleeping bags and an air bed. So before we knew it, people came with chairs, tables, bed, TVs, fridge, anything what you needed in the house. And I couldn't believe it. What a great community. We just arrived. Didn't see anything yet in Ashburton. This happens. It's 43 years later, we're still living in Tinwald. And Alison and Roger are still a big part of our family. Just some other things. Just a couple of small differences in between Amsterdam and Ashburton. In '82, it has changed. Saturday shopping in Ashburton? Nah. Little pubs? Nah. Only bloody big barns. No push bikes and no people. So it was a wee bit of a transfer. Yeah, it was a bit hard for the first half year getting used to that. From there on, basically, I went into, pulled in, basically, by my cousin Victor Secoeur. And he took me to Old Boys Rugby Club. And there was a person there, he wanted to have a talk to me. So here is this kadunk, 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 comes up to me. And here's a guy standing in front of me, and I thought, fuck, Jock Ross. I couldn't believe it. I thought I was in decent size, but that was just a wee bit more. But we became good mates. I could stand under a shower, the only player on the higher shower, so that was good. But really, rugby was not my cup of tea. I did it for a year, and Jock said, you know, I introduced him, and I said, it's Lane Brown, and he said, Lock. And I said, no, my name is Lane Brown, Lock. Straight back. After the third one, I said, what's going wrong with this guy? Lock. And Victor, my cousin, he was just laughing. So basically I knew what a lock was after that. What do? Just go middle in the heap there and you're fine. No, I didn't like that. I played hockey before. So anyway, I went on the wing, and that was the longest one that I'd ever seen. Since then, I played, or I go back to hockey, and it was for the Ellington ladies and for the mid-Canterbury team for 3 years. I've been a basketballer, I've been a player and a referee. You said a list. I can see what I did. I'm fine, I can go through with it. Over the years, people asked me to join a service club. But, sorry guys, the choice was too big. So I couldn't make a decision. You've got the Rotary, you've got the Lions, got the Kiwianas, MSA, RSA, RMA, whatever your name, but you can use it. They're all good clubs, but over the years I worked with a lot of them for different projects. 2016, time to step up, go for council. Easy. Filling in the forms, get some photos, find some mates, to sign the forms, thank you Roger, and thank you Roger, and off to council. Check the paperwork, pay some money, and that's it. It was easy. Next day, a phone call from a real nice council lady. Sorry Lane, we missed something. Just a little thing. I'm not a Kiwi. What? I've been here for 34 years and I can't stand for council? Right. The advice was, try for the next collection in 2019. It is impossible to have all your official documentation from the Dutch and the new government within 3 weeks. A moment. So the advice was, don't do it. But this Dutchie, he likes a challenge, and he did. 3 weeks later, after working day and night, to get the right Dutch and New Zealand government people, we had the correct people and all the correction documentation. Thanks to all the people on both sides of the world who made this possible. And I went back to the nice council lady with the right corrections on the last date. He's still there. I was certainly not expecting to be a councillor, and I certainly was not the councillor who with the most votes. I was never expecting that. And that was a real humbling experience. My first term was certainly completely different as I expected. There is more progress and respect in the kindergarten than with some of the councillors in that time. Some were bloody good, but some were here before and they were great. There were some here to learn. There were also some people there who came for the free lunch. Point of order! And all of a sudden comes up. And in no time, a point of order! And I thought, what the heck is going on here? Is this an exercise class or something? Because you go up and down, go and up. Now I was told how he talked to councillors. Luckily it's a wee bit changed. Yeah, I still know that one. Luckily, he had some real good and experienced councillors and some great staff who helped me to find my niche. My highlight from the first term was I became part of the Chinese settlement working group, and I knew the families since 1982, and it was great. The highlight for me was for invitations going to from the Nee King family to go to the Heritage Award in Christchurch. It was a great night. My second term, it's only water, but I can speak a bit better with that. So my second term, how you started? Coat brown? Coat brown? No, that doesn't sound good. Mr. Brown's boys? No, that doesn't either. So Neil, it was basically to me, Team Mayor Neil Brown. That was the team. It was a new mix with councillors, oldies and newbies. We respect each other and we worked for the whole district. What a difference, and you could feel it in the community. It was not an easy term for me. I had a friend, COVID-19. We had Zoom meetings, floods, main bridges and roads damaged, trying to build library and council building, working on the second bridge project, government's interference with three water projects and other things, and the amount of reports was overwhelming. And that is all above the normal working of council. But it is amazing what you can do with a good team. And by that, I mean governance, but also the council staff. Council has its own language. I had to get used to this. I thought Dutch was hard enough, but council stuff, here we go. ADC, yeah, I know that, Ashburton District Council. But you've got RFP, LAPP, PAT, APH, ECAN, oh, you can enter that, BAC, GST, LCHHA, DCA, DCL, CLW, LP, LEP. Luckily, we've got a local alcohol policy, but after this you like one. And the best one I found was CLBWD. No one knows that one. That's mine. Councillor Lane Brown, well done. My third term in 22 was slightly different. We came back from holiday, and I was looking forward to have discussions again with a great friend, Councillor Roger Latham. And after a little drum, we normally had all the problems sorted for this district. No problem. I was able to have a talk with Roger just before he passed away. And I miss you, good friend. Highlights for this term is the opening of the Vari Vaktere and the Pake and the Kate Tuenga. The opening of the new LD housing on the Friendship Lane and the Haven housing in Mona Square. Over the last 43 years, I've seen this district growing from a small rural area to a major international player. And I mean that. In 40 years, this has completely changed. We have multicultural population and it's growing. New subdivisions are in Rakaia, Metsven, Mount Summer, Stinwald, Ashburton and more projects to come. And as a councillor, it's great to see that district growing. Just some thank yous. Mayor Neil Brown. I like to call the last 6 years the great Mayor Neil Brown chapter. I enjoyed it. You are an amazing leader and all councillors are in your team. You worked hard for this district on all fronts. It can be reading, roading, Three waters, second bridge, floods, citizenship, and even going down the slide at EA Centre. Thank you. Councillors, I enjoyed working with you all. We are all different, but we are a good team, and we respect each other. We are here for the right things, the right reasons, that is doing the best for our district. For the councillors who are standing for the next election, I wish you all the best, and thank you all. Hamish, are we getting on the end? Yes, we get there. Hamish and his team. Hamish, your knowledge and understanding of local government and the person you are is appreciated. Your staff is first class and great to work with, always respectful and considerate. I thank you all. Right, I have to do it. Some wise words. My mum always said, life is, if it's like a box of chocolate, you never know what you're going to get. It's not mine, I found it from Forrest Gump. Right, I'm stepping out, but I just carry on with my journey. No more Councillor Brown, but Lane Brown, his husband, father, opa, friend, and hopefully a decent bloke. Thank you all.
Congratulations, well done.
Hard work. Thank you. Congratulations. Oh.
I'd now like to invite Richard Wilson and Lynette Lovett to the front of the room. Richard will speak to acknowledge Lynette's time on council, and then Lynette will be invited to respond.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Lynette Lovett. Mid-Canterbury farmers and the community are losing a champion voice around the council table today. Lynette was elected to the Eastern Ward in 2016. She's been the highest polling Eastern candidate in all three elections she has contested. As an active farmer and the skills required to run a substantial farming business, Lynette brought to council her extensive knowledge of her community gained through years of service, which included organisations such as Rural Women, A&P Show, Civil Defence and Red Cross. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think she's been a Red Cross member for 50 years this year's coming up. Monumental. Her extensive experience in civil defence area was well used during her field deployment to help earthquake recovery. I'm not sure, I think it was North Canterbury. Yep. Lynette has had council appointments including the Service Delivery Committee, Environmental Services Committee, Road Safety, Airport, Biodiversity, Rural Support, Road Reference Group and the Executive. And Ealing, Linford, Maronan, Hinds, Dorrie, Seafield, Rakaia Reserve Boards and the Rakaia Hall. I don't think there are any left in the Eastern Ward. All of these meetings are usually at night in a rural ward. Lots of travel. This shows Lynette's dedication to her role. Lynette has a reputation as a hard-working councillor, being sympathetic to the less fortunate and always advocating for careful use of ratepayers' money. I know she was very satisfied to see the first stage completion of the Friendship Lane pensioner housing. She is the first to ensure we're all reminded how our facilities need to be accessible to the less fortunate. Fords Road. Lynette's conscientious advocacy for her community on the state of Ford's Road is legendary. There would not be a road maintenance workshop that would not include Lynette mentioning Ford's Road. You have succeeded some on Ford's Road. It's up for rehabilitation. Lynette, ADC thanks you for its dedication and service to your community. I'm sure your skills will not be wasted, as I know you remain active in many organisations you currently support and are about to be asked to join. Thank you, Lynette.
I hate these speeches. Good afternoon. It's an honour to stand here before you today. 3 elections, 9 years. What a journey. I followed my dad's footsteps into local government. That is what gave me the courage to go beyond the Rural Roading Committee and to put my name forward after I finished my term as president of the Ashburton AMP Association. My thoughts are, women can do anything, we are strong. I can honestly say I have loved serving my community. It was the hardest decision I made to say no this time around. My life will change again. Another journey awaits. My daughter sitting down there in the back told me, "Mum, you've only got 10 good years left, you're 71. Time for yourself to do what you want to do, travel, build, etc." I have called it my community service, giving back to the community I love dearly. Council to me was making the best decisions for the whole community, not just one section of it. And before making a decision, I always had the ratepayer in mind. Can they afford it and will they use it? In my first term, I wondered what had struck me under Mayor Donna's leadership, as it was a very different style of governance to what I was used to. We were faced with updating strategy, policy after policy that were many years past their use-by date, a very different story today. Also in this term, the Chinese village that had been gifted to the council, that came along with its challenges and issues. And going to the debate around the table quite often resulted with a point of order being used by some very overzealous councillors. It was frightening at first, I must admit, but yeah, we got used to it. Another large undertaking we completed was the rollout of the willy bins to all homes and got the removal of those horrible old black rubbish bags. I did very much enjoy the many community interactions and sister city connections. A major part of this term was debating around the table about this building, revisiting plans, evaluating what was best for the town and an upgrade of the CBD. The last 6 years under Mayor Neil Brown's leadership and the CEO, Hamish Riak, it has been very harmonious. We have achieved a lot, fixing issues at EA, resolving issues at the Museum Art Gallery. However, some still remain in completing the CBD and the Chinese Village Rail Hub and community events which are going from strength to strength and designing and completing this beautiful building. And our new road bridge is happening, and I'm really happy to be leaving with that one with a big tick off. We desperately need it. And building new elderly housing and completing the first stage of our 3 waters done well, along with all the other scheduled work. We have been busy, and now I see policies and strategies from my first term starting to reappear again. I will miss the many hours of reading. I have enjoyed knowing what we have in the district and how it works. I often visited places of interest that was on the council agenda for discussion. I have also enjoyed my connection with our smaller communities, especially Rakaia, who have some really dedicated people who want to see their town evolve and grow. I have had a few roles over the years, but have really enjoyed the biodiversity, which evolved from a small committee to now a developed, strong leadership group, putting forward a great strategy and something we can be proud of in our district. we are leading in this space. Now, to my biggest disappointments were after being away and missing one day of public hearings, I then couldn't take part in debate around the table on the Tynwald Pool in the Balmoral Hall. I was frustrated having to sit here and watch everybody, and then Hamish and Neil try to keep things on track. You really earned your dollars that day, I must say. The comment I made about the 110 unemployed young people not working or at school in Ashburton, I called them entitled, which hit the nationwide talkback that night. Many listeners said it was what a lot of people were thinking, but wouldn't say it out loud. I did, and I guess I was brave. The highlights of my time was reconnecting rural reserves, halls and pools with staff and getting funding and issues sorted. Winding up 2 reserve halls, 1 pavilion, and that has taken, 9 years to complete, and we've only just resolved and we've just finished it. However, my biggest highlight was walking into this building with all its furniture in place, with tears in my eyes, thinking we helped take this from an idea to reality. That is now a beautiful space for future generations to enjoy. I will miss walking through the library area to the council meetings, watching people connect, laughing and talking, those spinning wheels, the knitters and the kids playing on the checkerboard, which was a good save. I really pushed for that one. This was our vision and we achieved it. For me, post-council, this will be a time to reflect, retire and change, including finishing 50 years with Red Cross and celebrating 50 years on the family farm and getting more involved with my Lions, Garden Club and family. The wheels on the camper van might finally turn more frequently. It has sat in the shed for too long. To Neil, Hamish, thank you for your leadership, encouragement and vision. And thank you to our staff, especially those of you that join us in the chamber, having questions fired at you. Sometimes you must wonder what we are thinking. And Carol, Philippa and Heather, thank you for your support over the years. It's been very much appreciated. All of you have helped steer this town to a great place with a good future, and now we see past pupils of our schools coming back to settle with family. We must be doing something right. To the councillors sitting around the table, thank you for your support, and I wish you well with your election and future endeavours. And last but not least, I wish to make a special thank you to all my family who have stood by my side through 3 campaigns in my time on council, and to Anna, no more barbed wire fence jumping and gale force winds on State Highway 1 putting up election signs. And thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Winding down now. So, like Liz, will stand to acknowledge the Mayor's time on council.
Do you want to come and sit in the big chair, Neil? Come on. Tēnā koutou katoa. I feel very honoured to speak today on the service that Mayor Neil Brown has given to Ashburton. But before I start my speech, I would like to share a few photos of Neil over the years that we've put together with the help of Judy and Carol. I'm going to roll now. History. We haven't got any music to go with it, sorry. Rakaia toilets. So lots of good memories there, and they're just going to keep scrolling through, I think. So, you can turn them off. So whether you know him as Neil Brownie or Mayor Brown, you will all agree that 21 years on the Ashburton District Council is a huge achievement. Neil was first elected to council for the Rakaia ward on the 9th of October 2004. He was elected unopposed along with John Ledley. Bede O'Malley was elected as the mayor, and the councillors were Rod Bevan, Jim Burgess, Derek Glass, Calvin Holmes, Robin Kilworth, John Ledley, Ken Lowe, Darryl Nelson, Peter Reveley, Bev Tasker and Michael Urquhart. Fellow councillor Darryl Nelson told me that he had encouraged Neil to stand for council in the Rakaia ward, as after meeting him at a Dorry community meeting, thought he was a fella with a bit of nous. Darryl said that Neil had common sense and wasn't all yap, a good, solid, down-to-earth guy, and it was a pleasure to work with him. In 2007, Neil was re-elected to council, this time in the Eastern Ward, along with Joss Everest and Peter Reveley. He polled highest in the ward election. Neil was re-elected to the Eastern Ward in 2010, along with Peter Reveley and Stuart Wilson. Again, he polled highest in the ward election. His list of appointments is impressive, which is why he has such a wealth of knowledge in the district. He was appointed to the Operations Committee and Finance and Community Services Committee as Chair, the Executive Committee, Water Subcommittee, Farm Management Subcommittee, Property and Investment Subcommittee, Forestry Subcommittee, Airport Authority Subcommittee, Audit and Budget Subcommittee, Community Awards Subcommittee, Ashburton Stadium Complex Project Group, Regional Land Transport Committee, ACL Liaison Group, Enterprise Ashburton Board, Enterprise Ashburton Trust, Ashburton Performing Arts Theatre Trust Management Committee, the Chertsey, Dorry, Pendarvis and Rakaia Reserve Boards, the Rakaia Memorial Hall Board, the Rakaia Community Association and the Lower Rakaia River Rating Group. Angus Mackay was elected as Mayor in 2010 and recalls that Neil gave a considered, practical approach. His solutions were always well thought out with the best deal for the ratepayer in mind. He was wonderful to work with. In 2013, Neil was re-elected to the Eastern Ward, unopposed, along with Ken Cutford and Stuart Wilson. Stuart was on council for 4 terms with Neil and says he has been a wonderful ambassador for our district. He carries on to say that serving as a councillor with Neil as mayor, he has always been a fair and democratic leader, encouraging all councillors to participate in debates. As mayor, Neil has shown excellent knowledge and leadership of everything that is important to the economic and social well-being of the Ashburton district. In 2016, Donna Favell was elected Mayor and Neil was appointed Deputy Mayor after being re-elected to Council, this time in the Ashburton ward, along with Thelma Bell, Lane Brahm, Russell Ellis, Diane Rawlinson, Alistair Urquhart and Salmon Price. He was appointed to Finance and Business Support Committee as Chair, the Service Delivery Committee, Executive Committee, Audit and Risk Committee, Bylaw and Policy Subcommittee, Community Awards Committee, Community Grants and Funding Subcommittee, Wastewater Subcommittee, Administration and Library Facilities Working Group, Stockwater Working Group, Town Centre Working Group, the Eastfields Investments JV, the Trustpower Awards Panel, Canterbury Regional Landfill Committee, Canterbury Waste Joint Committee, Rakaia Memorial Hall, Rakaia Reserve Board, Zone 5 and 6, and the Lower Rakaia River Rating Group. Your CV's going to look quite good after this, isn't it? Neil was elected as Mayor on the 12th of October 2019, the highest polling of 4 mayoral candidates. In an interview with the Ashburton Guardian reporter Sue Newman, Neil said, "The Mayor is a lot more in the public eye, whereas as a councillor, you're there getting on with the work. I'll now be out in the front leading and directing, but this will be a team, not just one person." And a year on, Sue's report on the council year stated that Mayor Neil Brown has a pretty relaxed approach to the job. He's far from precious about the mayoral title. He doesn't hold official jobs close and is happy to let the public limelight shine on any one of his councillors when it comes to the official stuff. It's an approach that's paying dividends. This was a term that was far from easy, with COVID-19 lockdowns, online meetings and a major flooding event. Neil held steady and progress was being made with plans for new water treatment plants, the new Civic and Library building and a second bridge. You worked hard to advance the relationship Council has with Te Rurunga o Arowhenua and represented Ashburton well on the Canterbury Mayoral Forum. On the 8th of October 2022, Neil was re-elected as Mayor. The Ashburton Guardian announcing that Neil had won by a landslide, receiving 9,756 out of the 11,327 votes cast. In his opening address, Neil said that this is a council that will face some challenges over the next 3 years. These included government reforms, the RMA, future for local government, and the Three Waters reform. Another challenge was when Councillor Roger Lethem passed away during the term, Neil telling me that speaking at the funeral was one of the hardest things he has had to do. Over the last 6 years, Neil has cut many ribbons, including for this building, Te Whare Whakatere. He has been at over 20 citizenship ceremonies, welcoming over 1,000 new citizens, and has attended countless meetings. He has worked tirelessly to make the Ashburton district a better place to live, work and play. Neil, I feel very privileged to have worked with you over the last 6 years as your Deputy Mayor. You have taught me a lot about what it is to be a leader and in building and maintaining us councillors as a connected team. Your quick wit, interesting songs that you played before the meetings, that signature jersey you wore during the floods, and kind nature will be remembered by many. So, Your Worship, on behalf of us all, I would like to thank you for all the work that you have done for the Ashburton district. You have been a great leader, mentor to many, and a wonderful friend.
Thank you.
Now, before I hand it over to Neil, Hamish and I have just got a wee gift that's on behalf of Council that we'd like to present. And I'd like to say a special thank you to Jay and Shireen for helping us with this gift. Come on up, Neil, because we'd like you to open this in front of us, please. Better show everyone. It's It's the Browns Bridge. So I'll call upon any councillors that would like to make any comments just from your seats, and then I'll invite Fiona to come up and speak. And I'll have to turn off.
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say, Neil, prior to my council life, you were always great to deal with on the radio. I can't remember too many times, especially over floods and what have you, where you didn't answer the phone and weren't willing to have a chat with me, which was fantastic. You were always honest and upfront, and never hid from anything with our fortnightly chats in the studio. As a newbie sitting around this table, it's been very reassuring to look to my left for guidance. Thank you for your 21 years of community service. And we lose a lot of experience when you walk out the door. I just hope we do you proud going forward. Thanks again.
Also like to thank Neil. I came on council 12 years ago. Very daunting prospect back then. There was, as we've heard, about 300 committees that got distributed amongst the councillors, and slowly over time, fortunately, Neil has whittled those down to far more meaningful type committees that now have a lot more structure around council. So just thank you for being there to support me through my journey as well, and just wish you all the best for your future.
Thank you. Fiona, would you like to come on up?
Tēnā koutou katoa, ka mihi nui kia koutou. On behalf of Turunango Arowhenua, I just wanted to say a few words. Ashburton is within our takiwa, so we have been engaging with Ashburton District Council, in particular with Neil since my time as the chair, which is the last 4 years. And I think as I look around this room is indicative of the relationship that we have had with Neil and with the council, the beautiful artwork in this building, and our involvement in the process is what we treasure and value. With Neil's leadership, we have been engaged continuously throughout his term on projects that are of interest to us and to you as the local council, and we've always felt like we are genuinely part of the discussion, part of the partnership, and the relationship has been strong. Even to the point where I was told by one other runaka that Neil told them this is Arowhenua's takiwa and where are they? Which we really appreciated. One of the things that we've found we really enjoy working with Neil is that we accept we don't agree on everything. There are things that we have disagreements on, but we don't focus on that. We focus on what is it that we agree on and what can we achieve together in that direction. So on behalf of the whānau at Arowhenua, we want to thank you, Neil, for engagement with us, for your authentic leadership and your true partnership with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Fiona. I get the right to reply. Tēnā koutou katoa. Today is a momentous day, not just for our council, but for me personally. This marks my final time chairing a council meeting, and I stand here with a deep sense of pride, gratitude, and reflection. Thank you, Liz, for your kind words. They mean a great deal to me, and they've really touched my heart. I'm especially pleased that you delivered my valedictory, not only as Deputy Mayor, but as friend. That's an honour I'll never forget. When I joined council back in 2004, I was just 40 years old. I remember the comments from fellow councillors at the time. They were glad I'd joined, because if for no other reason than to lower the average age of council at that time. I held the title of youngest councillor for many years, and that gave me the freedom to ask questions, to learn from the wisdom of those who came before me. Some of those councillors have since passed, but their knowledge lives on in me, and I'm richer for it. Reflecting on what happened in 2004, I wondered what else was happening in the world when I first joined council. That year saw the devastating Boxing Day tsunami, the passing of Ronald Reagan, and the launch of Facebook. A reminder of how much the world has changed since then. Fast forward to 2019 when I was elected mayor. Globally, we saw the US-China trade war intensify, particularly around Huawei, and climate change protests sparked by the Amazon wildfires. Protests that continue today, even as carbon dioxide levels remain stubbornly high. Being elected as mayor has been a true honour. Serving the people of Ashburton District has been a privilege I've never taken lightly. I've met people from all walks of life, from Prime Ministers, Members of Parliament, fellow mayors, councillors from across the Motu. These connections have not only helped us achieve results for Ashburton, but have also grown into lasting friendships for me. One moment I'll never forget is the 2021 floods. The support we received from across New Zealand was overwhelming. That event also helped propel the second Ashburton Bridge project from concept to reality. And that was a career highlight for me. Having previously built a relationship with the then Simeon Brown Minister of Transport, it was instrumental. I look forward to the bridge opening in mid-2027. Another proud achievement is the construction of this building, Te Whare Whakatere, and the upgrading of Bering Square. It's heartening to see people of all ages enjoying these spaces. From my office window, I had a front row seat to the joy and vibrancy they bring to our community. We also future-proofed our town centre, renewing sewer, water and stormwater infrastructure, upgrading the roads and footpaths, and modernising electrical and telecommunications services. These underground improvements will serve us well for many decades to come. The relocation of the rail shunting yard to the north of Ashburton was another milestone, a great example of public-private partnership and collaboration across multiple organisations. Other major projects during my time include the EA Network Centre, the Museum and Art Gallery building, additional elderly housing units, and the upcoming mini golf course, another free facility for all to enjoy, sitting right beside the already free facility disc golf course. Over the 6 years as mayor, I've opened approximately 23 buildings, parks and schools, club rooms, and something I've done at each opening is cut the ribbon twice and kept the piece of ribbon for memorabilia. And there they are. Did I do all this alone? Absolutely not. As the saying goes, there's no I in team. I've had the support of a dedicated team of 10 councillors, or 9 councillors, each playing a vital role, approving budgets, setting standards, and overseeing projects. Some say councillors get too involved, but I see that as a commitment. This district is ours, and we want the best for everyone in it. One of the biggest challenges we faced was the COVID-19 pandemic. It disrupted life globally, and Ashburton was no exception. We adapted. Zoom became a household word, and remote work became the norm. The economic impact was immense. Inflation surged, supply chains broke down, labour shortages emerged, and interest rates hit historic lows. Now, 4 years on, things are settling. But perhaps the pendulum has swung a bit too far the other way. To my fellow councillors, thank you. You've chaired committees, led workshops, and contributed with professionalism and passion. A special thanks to Deputy Mayor Liz. Your support, advice, and willingness to step in when needed has been invaluable. To retiring councillors Lane and Lynette, Thank you for your years of service. We shared a journey together, and I've appreciated your support and dedication. To the remaining councillors, your work continues, and I wish you all the best in the upcoming election. The work will never go away. To my wife Judy, you've been my rock. From day one, you've supported me, encouraged me, and partnered with me through every event and challenge. The last 6 years have been especially intense, and while family time sometimes took a back seat, we still managed some wonderful holidays together. I know there are more to come because I've seen the brochures. As the role of Mayor, you're given 2 titles that you may be called officially. One is Mr. Mayor, and the second is Your Worship. Now, Judy, the number of times you've used the words Your Worship title on me is exactly 0. But you've got about 12 days left to change that. But I won't hold my breath. Seriously, though, you've embraced the unofficial title of Mayoress with grace and style, and for that, I thank you. My relationship with Runanga has grown over the years. I've valued the openness and transparency, especially with Chair Fiona and Upoku Tuera from Arawhenua. We discuss many subjects, and most things we agree on, but at times we don't always agree, and that is healthy. But we always talked, and that's what partnership is about. My te reo pronunciations over the years have improved, slowly but surely. It's a language I want to understand, even if fluency remains a work in progress for me. To Carol and Philippa, thank you. Philippa, your efficiency in compiling agendas and reports has made my role so much easier. Carol, you've kept my diary in order, my mail up to date, and my tasks on track. Interestingly, I noted you have 2 Neils in your life, one at home and one at work. So to avoid confusion, you renamed us. Home Neil and Work Neil. Again, I thank you both. I'm sure you'll give your all to the next mayor. To Hamish, our CEO, thank you for your leadership, your advice, and your friendship. We've travelled far and wide together to make Ashburton's voice heard around New Zealand. You've delivered our projects on time and pretty much on budget, and I know you'll continue to do so for future councils. To the executive team, Tony, Sarah, Neil, Ian and Helen, thank you for your dedication. You live here in the district, you care about our district, and you've helped shape our district for the better. To all the remaining staff, thank you for doing the mahi. It's truly a team effort. To the media, thank you. I've always treated you with respect, and you've returned the favour. The Ashburton Guardian and the Ashburton Courier have reported on council matters with accuracy and integrity. Your presence in the room has helped capture the mood and the message, and our recordings on YouTube and Facebook have added that transparency. As I close, I hope I haven't missed anyone. I've learnt a lot, made mistakes, made friends, and had a great time. It's been a journey I've truly enjoyed. Hei aha te mai nui o te o, te tangata, te tangata, te tangata. What is the most important thing in life? It is the people, it is the people, it is the people. Now all that remains is for me to hang these chains on the stand, ready for a new mayor to uplift them at the end of this month. Ngā mihi nui. Thank you all. Thank you, Hamish. Thank you. This brings the meeting to conclusion. So I'm going to declare the council meeting held on Wednesday, the 1st of October, closed, and welcome you all for afternoon tea in the foyer. Thank you. Tēnā koe.